So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nedal Aqel, and I'm from the group of Physics of Soil and Tertiary Ecosystem in the University of ETH Zurich. Today, my presentation will be about how can we monitor soil resilience by combining time series analysis and neural network, and then we will see how can we use to predict the dynamic of soil water characteristic curve or soil water retention curve. So to give you an idea what I mean by the soil water characteristic curve or the soil water retention curve, it's simply the relationship between the soil or it's the curve that is how much water the soil can retain at varying suction. And it's an essential curve for us if we want to see how much water is available for the plants. Also, if we want to know to optimize water use efficiency, and also if we want to prevent compaction in weak soils. And just to give you an idea what I mean by soil water retention curve, I bring those three curves. Maybe I use cursor. I don't know if you see my cursor. Yeah. So mainly we can see that we have three main soil water retention curve here. The first curve is for the clay soil here, the blue one, while the red one is for sandy soil. And if we look between these two red points that I marked, if we look at the water content, we can see that for the sandy texture soil, usually we are expecting that we don't have that much total available water for the plant, while for a clay soil we have much more. That's what we assume. However, the reality, the soil water retention curve is not looking like the curve that we always assume in all our models. It's a cloud of points. And here, this is just one of the assumptions that we need usually for this curve, where we assume it's one curve, while the reality is a cloud of points. And we can see if we assume that our curve is looking like this, it's much different. If we assume it's different. If we want to predict this cloud of points, this work has been done by me. It was published now already, but the content of this presentation will not talk about how to predict this cloud of, but we will see what we will see. So, yeah, exactly. So mainly the content of this presentation will talk how to make sure that we are training our AI model on all the clouds, and not only by a period and then it's changed suddenly and then I'm just predicting the same problem. And instead of predicting one curve, I'm just predicting one cloud and I'm not detecting the shifts that are happening in this cloud. So one of the problems with my model that I published, that for example, if I train it in 2014 to 2016, the model will assume that the soil will continue having the same dynamic, which is 2014 to 2016. While the reality, this is an example that the soil has changed its behavior after the training period, which means my AI model is still biased for the training data. So the first step will be identify if my soil is resilient or not. How can I identify it? I identify the resilient soil here as the soil that will not change its soil water retention curve. So I already have my method for doing that, and the objective of this presentation was to use the volumetric water content time series. Why we choose the volumetric water content time series? Because now it's available globally by remote sensing, and it's the easiest one to measure now for the water content if we want to go globally, to predict the shape of the soil water retention curve, and then we will see if this shape is changing and say our soil is resilient or not. Where we will apply this approach, we will apply it in a lysimeter that existing in Germany. Why we choose this site? Simply because we are controlling everything except the climate. So we want to see how the climate will change the structure of the soil for each texture. How many soils we have? We have 8 soil samples. We have 4 different soil textures. And for sure, because we are talking about the climate, we have a look how the climate has changed in this area. And we can see in 2018, it was a bit dry year or extreme year, let's say. And how our model will work, simply we'll give it the precipitation, evapotranspiration, and something called STL. I will explain it in the next slide. And we'll give it a training period about the volumetric water content time series. And the model will predict another volumetric water content time series for the coming period, not the existing period. What the model will do, simply will identify what is the hydrological memory in the soil. And then we will, by this identifying the hydrological memory, we will be able to know if we have a soil structural changes. And just to give you an idea how the model is working, simply this is just an assumption. Let's assume that our water content time series is changing as shown here. And then we make what is called the STL decomposition. This thing works by taking the water content, then make it into two parts. The first part is seasonal, or sorry, trend, and then the seasonal. The trend is the long-term trend, while the seasonal is something that is occurring in a short period, let's say. We give the two components to the neural network. The neural network from here will identify the dynamic inside this season and this trend and this seasonal data, and then we will use it to predict for the next period, which is not seen by the model. And then we will run our model, and then we compare how the prediction of the model is looking like comparing to the measured one. So mainly our model, here what I'm showing is overfitting is not always bad. Overfitting is bad if we are overfitting the value, not the dynamic. So I'm overfitting the dynamic to see if it's changing in the future or not. And then my model will take, for example, curve number 1 and say for me maybe, I don't know, yeah, you see it. So for this, the rate curve is period number 1, let's assume, and my model will say that because it has the measured one, will say for me, depends on this, I will assume that this distribution of error is related to period 1, seen soil water retention curve, while period 2 is not known for the model, but it's clearly for the model, it was shifted. So the model will assume that the soil water retention curve was shifted and will shift it. So we'll say for me, for period 2, we have a shift in the soil water retention curve. And this is just an example of the results of the model, where we train our model in 2018-2020, this period. And we can see for the blue one and the yellow one, the shift was very limited. This, let's say the black color is the mean. The mean of the error distribution for the training period, and the pink one here, the pink line in each of the curves here is the mean of the error for each period. And we can see, for example, for the period 2014-2016, the model say for me the error distribution was shifted toward to my right, while if we look at the yellow one, the model starts saying it starts shifting to the left from the green one, and that's the reality. If we look here at these points, where now our soil is moving simply to the left. So I trained it in 2018, and I was able to detect that the blue one is approximately the same as the green one, while the red one is far away. The yellow one is start shifting to the left. And this is just another example of the situation where I train it on the blue one, and now we can detect clearly that after 2016 all the years were shifted. So this soil, for example, is not resilient. While this is another example where the soil water retention curve stay in its place, and we can see the prediction of the model where it's saying for me that we don't have any shift. So just to summarize what my model is doing, simply now we can use AI and capture the structural shift in the soil, let's say, and also I assume that this is a step forward toward generating soil structure map, and also this model, I believe, opened new pathway for monitoring and forecasting soil health under environmental stresses. So thank you for following my presentation, and I'm happy to hear any question from you.